back. Yes, I will go through these slides quickly. So if you need help to start your CDMP journey, we have the fundamentals. These are the training slots we have with our data management fundamentals. It's a 4-day online course. It is instructor-led, and with it, you'll get summarized study notes of the DMBOK. You'll get over 750 practice questions. There's mind maps and a study group. And you have a post and pre-assessment. It comes with a lot of extra material to help you write your exam with confidence. So we have 2 slots left of 2023, and then we will be back in Feb. So if your goal for 2023 was to write the CDMP fundamentals exam, you got 2 chances left. Then we have the CDMP DIY. This is for people who need a refresher of the DMBOK to write the exam. So I can share more information about this. The full bundle costs $99, and I'll be happy to share more information if this classifies for you. Here are the dates for specialist training. So data governance, 3-day course from the 27th to the 29th. Data quality is a 2-day course. So it fits in the same week. So if you want to specialize in both data governance and data quality, join 1 week of training and you'll be able to write your exam, 2 exams after that. How to model data is from the 20th to the 24th of November. And then how to analyze, which is warehousing, BI, data science, is from the 5th to the 9th of Feb. And then data architecture is from the 12th to the 16th of Feb. And that's everything from me. Thank you all. Over to you, Howard.
Yeah, excuse me. This data quality for certificate, you say it's a 4 days or it's a 5 days? 4 days.
Data quality is 2 days.
It's 2 days. Arun, so you can do data governance and data quality in 1 week. You can get them both done.
Okay, so the training which I'm requesting, it is 4 days, right? 5 days.
Yours is the modeling data is 4 days, yes. And what we haven't done is we haven't announced the metadata training. As we said, we're waiting for Mr. Drew Kennedy to complete. And as soon as he's got the right level of certification, then we'll get his training going.
So this data quality also we have. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Data quality only for 2 days.
Yes. So data quality, data quality is a tricky one because it's one that's the chapter is really small. So the content is, you'll actually get through the DMBOK content pretty quickly. So I add a lot more, and second day is a practical day where you actually apply it in Power BI and you actually do a data quality profile, you do an assessment, you build the data quality rules and stuff like that. So it's a very practical course to give you some understanding on how to use and how to create some of the deliverables.
Okay, so how much it costs, this one, data quality?
I think Debs will send all of that information through to you.
Yes, yeah. I can send that information to you.
Yeah, please. Yeah, okay.
Sure.
And you don't have DIY for these courses, Howard?
No, we really battling. We're working really hard to get the number of questions up, Arun. So these ones compared to the fundamentals that has the 700 questions. These ones we sort of really battling to get to 100, maybe more. So
I believe it's quite a practical course. So we would want to help you be able to apply the knowledge. You're not just learning theory. So it's really beneficial to join the 2-day course, and you'll be able to apply what you're struggling with in you.
The data modeling is very practical. It's very focused on getting you the right skills. But what we found is it's very good for preparation for the CDMP as well. So, it can certainly help you pass the exam as well. But that one is extremely practical. You'll get a workbook. You're going to be doing practice quizzes and not so much quiz, the multiple choice thing, but it's build this data model, build this dimensional model, score this thing and stuff like that. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, sure. Okay, thank you. Okay, I will wait for your email, Debbie. Okay.
Fantastic. All righty. Thanks, Debs. Thanks for the intro. Okay, so We are doing implementation framework, and today we're going to be doing it for the data citizen. All right. Now, I'm sure you saw the teaser that Debbie put out, and I must admit I'm feeling a bit nervous because I've only got 12 slides, but everyone keeps telling me that I always present too many slides. Oh, there you go. My wife's confirming that.
Yeah. You prepared 3 presentations in one.
Okay, so this one, what I'm going to do is actually what I liked. Someone mentioned the other day about changing the name of a data citizen. Instead of calling them a data citizen, or they should be called the citizen of data, or a citizen of data science. And I'm referring this to a citizen of intelligence. And you'll see now why I'm using that term. So what I've been working on in the last 5 or 6 days extensively for one of my customers, I've had to put forward a BI, business intelligence and analytics implementation framework. Okay, so this is lots of days of experience and preparing it and showing, so hopefully you'll see the benefit there. Okay, so the first question we ask is, can I use the DMBOK? Of course, as soon as I have an implementation framework that I have to put together, and remember from last week, we said that it goes principles, policies, implementation framework, procedures. Okay, now, because it's a business intelligence analytics framework, there is no one area within the DMBOK that has both of these two together. So you can see here that the knowledge area on the DMBOK is data warehousing and BI. And it doesn't include, at this point, it doesn't include big data and data science. But just for those that are doing the exam, they do bring in certain data science questions into this section. And I keep on saying this is the right place to put it. So big data and that should come into this area. And what I was quite interested to do is to say, well, do you think that we can combine these 2 chapters, 11 and 14? Do you feel comfortable that that's the right thing to do, or would you create another knowledge area, separate knowledge area? And I've had lots of different debates in terms of saying, no, it should be separate. It's completely different. And I'd love to hear any comments. What would your feeling be? Should we go and add another section here? So instead of 11 knowledge areas, should we make it 12 knowledge areas? And if we combine them, what should we call this revised knowledge area? So anyone like to comment? Or you can write it in the chat or create a comment. What would you do? What's your feeling? Would you extend the wheel, or would you create a single combination of the 2? I can see Ekker's typing there. I wonder if Mr. Bolton has any views. Mr. Bolton? Always pick on him, but he's probably doing something else. Haroon, yes.
No.
Yeah, in my opinion, I think big data is very big. It's having a machine learning.
Yes,
And
it is.
yeah, so it should be I think even knowledge area cannot cover everything, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think it's having a data science and machine learning, and so I was reading so many things, but I feel that it's these are the bases. What we have 11 knowledge area. If we don't have these 11 knowledge area implemented, we cannot go for big data. So this is mandatory.
Okay.
And if we must
And
have
you'll
these 11
find that,
knowledge.
interestingly enough, the NDMO has combined the 2. So
Yeah.
in the NDMO domains, there's one domain for the 2 of them. Paul, what's your view?
So I know I was going to say that, Howard, I liked what they did because we've spoken about it before, where that I've just dropped something in the chat, that feedback storytelling and the harmony. And from the presentations that I did when I was doing the training, that was the piece that I was missing when I wasn't on the chapter of big data, is how do we record our data science results and keep track of them and all that. And it came through in the big data chapter where there's that feedback loop. And
Okay.
so I liked what they did in Saudi with that combining.
Okay, and Eka feels that data warehouse is technical and big data is more conceptual. All right, so there's quite a few differences of opinion there. Okay, and there's Paul's story there. Now, the way I see it is that if we look at this, is actually in the DMBOK.
Yes.
It's a journey. And if you look at the Robert Abart triangle, he takes it from the top to the bottom, right? And he talks about this is the present, and then we have the past, which is BI, and we have big data, which is future. He brings them all together, and I have to be honest with you. No, honest is not the right word. That's the way I see it. And can you see that we go from descriptive analytics to predictive analytics to prescriptive analytics to cognitive analytics? So it's actually a journey. Now, what we have to understand is that you cannot answer question 3, and I'm just going to go through before you've answered question 1 and question 2. So to answer question 1 and question 2, the question 1 is what has happened? So in my sales, what was the last period? What happened in the last period? What was my sales figures? What was my profit, my finance figures? What happened in stock? This is all about what happened. And then question 2 is why did it happen? Why did I miss my targets? Why did I reach that? And then question 3 is basically what is likely to happen. So if I continue at this pace, and if I'm using a budget figure and stuff like that, will I make budget at the end of the year, at the end of the period, or whichever the period has in the situation? And then the next question is, what should we do to make things happen? And this is in the area of operational research. And basically what it's saying is, can you give me some ideas? Can you give the executives some ideas on what they should do to improve the outcome? Okay, so I'm hoping you can see that this is a journey of answering questions to help the executive team or anybody responsible for the decision to make a decision. And interestingly enough, when Drew and I started, and Veronica, I'm not sure how many of you were around then in the 80s and late 80s. Drew was one of the first people to get into decision support systems. And I actually quite like that term of what are we doing? What are we doing with these different areas? Yes, one's looking back, but we're all trying to help the business. We're all trying to support the business in making decisions. Now, so just Arun, does that give you a little bit more background in terms of why I feel we could combine them, why it's helpful to understand and work with them together? Okay, all right. Eka, does that also make a little bit of more sense to you? So whether it's and I think what you write is when we design when we work with BI, because it's such a well-defined and well-understood environment, we now it's not like, oh, maybe we should look at this data or that data. We know basically all the reports and all the business processes, so it's more mechanical than big data, but it's there to answer those questions. What happened and why did it happen? Now, I'm sure any of you that are using Power BI or ClickView or stuff like that, we've been doing that predictive analytics and forecasting for quite some time in self-service analytics. So the actual field is being merged. They're all coming together in one set of tools. Nowadays, you can put R and Python and Panda and all those things into self-service analytics, but typically it's not always appropriate to combine the two. Okay, so I'm hoping you are in agreement with what I've suggested, that we can combine these two. And it's all about taking the business through and assessing the data, and we go from these questions and being able to answer everything that they need and to be able to give them the right assessment. Now, there's one question that we have missing. There's the DAMA teaches about 4 questions here, but there's a very important question that this has missed, and I wonder if anyone knows what that question is. So we've got 4 questions. What does anyone want to venture out in terms of what is the 5th question? This is a question that is probably the hardest to answer, but it's one of the most important ones. Yes, Mr. Bolton.
I'm cheating. Right.
Sorry?
It's what I'm cheating because I know.
Oh, okay.
But
okay, there's Veronica saying, what do we want to happen? Now that answered that's a good question, that's a combination of question 3 and question 4, where we understand that we have a budget, a target that we're trying to achieve, and that question 3, another way of explaining it is, when is it likely to happen? And what should we do to make it happen? Okay, so it's all about, we have a target, we've defined a target, and it's all about getting and reaching that target. So that sort of answers that question. So then Carolyn says, how will we know if it has happened? So Carolyn, what we do is we have these ratios or KPIs.
Sorry, Howard, can you repeat again? Sorry, I'm interrupting. Can you repeat again? 5th question is what?
Sorry, Arun, I'm not. How far back is what did I say there again?
I'm saying that what is the 5th question? Can you repeat again? Sorry, I didn't
Given you the answer to the 5th question. We haven't got the answer. So there's some people in the chat box that are contributing. And so Jacques has said, who do we want to make it happen? Okay, there's a racy issue there. That is important. And then we have another one, which is, how will we know if it has happened? So answering how will we know, typically what you'll do is you'll break up and you'll measure the business according to a ratio and a company ratio, and then you'll be able to track your progress according to that ratio. And you'll also set a budget to say, well, customer lifetime value. Let me try to give you an example. Customer lifetime value is a very important metric that we should all be looking at. And it works something like this, is how long does that person remain a customer for before they go and change the platform? So a great example of that is, how long will it take you before you drop off Spotify and you go to Apple Music or another music platform? And they keep measurements there in terms of, is it 3 years? Is it 4 years? Is it 5 years? And they calculate the average of customer lifetime. And what that does for them is it helps them understand that when they are approaching customer lifetime value of 4 years, they need to try to engage a little bit more and help overcome that. Okay, so that's how we will know it's happened. Then Jacques, the answer to your one is that there is a RACI framework, and basically what you're doing is you define what's called the decision mandate, and then it's about that group of people that own that decision mandate to make it happen. Okay. All right, so what is the 5th question? All right, so this is an important one. Now, what I like how to explain this is, let's go and look at this very important area. All of BI and big data is all about understanding the cause and effect. When I see my customer lifetime value dropping, why is it dropping? So I see an effect. I see that my lifetime value is dropping, or I see that my profit is dropping. What is causing it? And I need to be able to connect these two to tell the story. I can't just say, can you see that our profitability is dropping? That's fantastic. The guy's going to say, why is it dropping? Don't just tell me that this thing is dropping. I need to know why. And it's about helping people understand what's happening. Now, this is a really nice quadrant, and we talk about known knowns, known unknowns, unknowns, knowns, and unknown unknowns. Okay, so what is a known known? These are things that we are aware of and we understand. So basically, when we see something happening, when we see an effect, we understand the cause. Okay, I'm trying to give a very simplistic example here. When we see the fact that our profitability has dropped, we would typically know that either we are spending too much or we are not earning as much revenue. Our sales has dropped or our cost has increased. That's we can pretty much define what makes up that ratio. Okay. Now, known unknowns are things we are aware of, but we don't understand. So what's that's happening is a case of we're seeing things, but we can't really explain why. Some people know, but we don't really understand why. And then we've got unknown knowns, which are things we understand but are not aware of. And I've got a nice slide on the next one. And then it's unknown unknowns, things we are neither aware of or nor we understand. So this is where the challenges start coming in. And this is the answer. The answer is, what don't we know? We need to be able, when we're doing all of this stuff, when we're making decisions on what should we do, is there something that we don't have data about that's happening in the background and we are going to get caught because we don't know what's going on? Perfect example there was the Blockbuster story. I'm sure many of you remember the Blockbuster story, right? That was when Netflix approached Blockbusters to say, we've got a new idea, we've got this fancy idea. The days of video Betamax are all finished. Your days of hiring videos are dead. We're going to be able to download videos. Okay, and they laughed at Netflix. They sent them out, only to disappear in the next 6 months. It was a tragic story, and Blockbusters really suffered. They were not looking and they were not asking the question, what don't we know? What are we unaware of? Okay, so it's that unknown portion. We've got to look outside of our BI reporting and just forecasting on our data. We have to look at what we don't know. Okay. All right. Now there's a really nice uncertainty framework. I'm going to show you here, and this is called the Cynefin framework. Cynefin. Cynefin. Just typing that out, and it's really nice. What you do is you take a decision, and you say basically in a question, you say, I need to answer this question, but before I can answer the question, I need to understand where my state of information is. Is it clear? i.e., I know exactly cause and effect. I know what it is. And so then I apply this approach. I sense the effect, I categorize it, and I respond. I sense the fact that I'm losing profitability. I'll categorize it. Is it either too much cost or too little revenue? And then I respond accordingly. So that's best practice. Nice thing about this is that you can actually apply digital decisioning to be able to continue to look and make decisions for you. This is fantastic to get a machine to answer questions. Then we get into complicated. And then we've got some unknowns creeping in here. So we are aware of what's going on, but we don't really have all the answers. And again, I'll give you a better example just now. We then have complex where, sure, can you see here, we have to take a different approach. So here is about probing. So we'll actually do a hypothesis. We think we're losing money because of this, this, and this. And then we will go and test in the market to say, oh, let's reduce our prices. Maybe we'll get more money. Okay, now let's reduce our prices and nothing happens. Oh, shucks, we don't really know what's going on. This was a nice example of this was when we had one of the shuttles had problems re-entering the Earth's atmosphere. And because no one, there is no expert, there's no person to tell you exactly what to do to bring that shuttle back in again. We know that it can burn up, but we didn't know how to fix the problem. So in this situation, we're actually trying to get we don't want to have one person that says they know what to do, because we don't know. And so we want a whole lot of people to work together to find a problem. And then we've got a chaotic situation where we actually don't have any data. Data is not helping us. And in this situation, it's like COVID. We really didn't have any data in the beginning. It's also like 9/11. You've got no data. Now, this is about rapid response. You need to start doing something. You can't wait for all the data. So can you see how you actually start to act before you really understand the data? So working with data at this point in time is no good. Okay. And then you have this one area which is called confusion, which you don't know what the state of your data is. You don't actually know where to put it. Now, what you'll do with the Cynefin diagram is that you'll actually leave those questions in the areas, and you will not deal with it until you have some better information. Okay, so that's how that Cynefin diagram works. Okay, so let's give you a little bit more example. And basically we're saying is we need to answer this fifth question, what don't we know? Okay, so here's basically some examples of it. When we have no known things we are aware of and understand, the cause and effect is simple, obvious, and clear. Everyone can tell you when you see that, that's the reason for it. So we use BI to detect the effect. We use the why in BI to explain the cause, and our data science can make use of digital decisioning to now automate this and to continue to monitor the effects of it and make sure that we're on the right course. We have to be very careful in this area. When something else comes along and now all of a sudden it's not obvious, the cause and effect is not obvious, we can actually be causing more problems, because we've got a machine making these decisions and we're not aware of an element that we don't know. So if we don't know anything, be very careful of that area. And even when you do think you know everything, you should constantly monitor it, because things can change. Somebody else can come along and change the way things are done. Okay, now we get into this known unknown area. That's the Cynefin diagram for complicated. And we're saying things we are aware of but don't really understand. Okay, so the cause and effect exists. Okay, so we know there's a cause and effect, but it's not apparent to us. We would need to find an expert and go and ask them to say, this is what we're seeing, can we confirm it? And basically the analytics techniques that you use, we actually refer to that as confirmatory analytics. We confirming what we believe the effect is, and we use trends and forecasting, and we get this ability to confirm our understanding. Okay. Then we have the more tricky one, which is unknown knowns, things we understand but are not aware of. So yes, when we look back at it, we can understand. And in this situation, they refer to this as exploratory analytics. And we have this process of defining an hypothesis. Then we'll probe, test to see how's it working. Okay, then you do some of this A/B testing and you'll put it out in the market and you'll see how people respond. Okay, this is an area where you get some very innovative solutions that come about, because there isn't an expert. Okay, this is the nice area where you can really change your business when you start picking up relationships here that you're unaware of. And then we go into unknown things we're neither aware of nor do we understand. That shouldn't be not. This is a chaotic environment. We are required to make a rapid decision. Think of COVID, think of 9/11. We can't wait. We can't wait for things to happen before we make a decision or to get all the data. We need to start. That was part of the lockdown. We need to start some social distancing. And social distancing was probably the most effective. But anyway, this is what we're trying to bring in here. Now, there's a confusion where we actually don't know what state we're in. And I'll show you as an example that I'll demonstrate that I don't really know what's affecting us. Okay. Now, what's critical about this and what I like about Cynefin is by understanding the domain that the question and decision sits in, okay, you can better understand the relationship between cause and effect. And I'm sure so many of you are aware of that thing of make sure you're not picking up a correlation relationship, but a causation. This is causing that not this is trending and following that or whatever it is. So if you just pick up on correlations, you can make all sorts of dangerous decisions and directions that you're going into. Okay, so we must work on causation, not correlation. Okay, all right, so this is what I like to do is just show you all the decision components. I'm not going to spend too much time here. What I'd like to just show you is some interesting things. Can you see my 5 questions? What happened? Why did it happen? What will happen? What should I do? What don't I know? Now, what's interesting is that what the analytics is called. Okay, so we refer to this as the analysis continuum. There you can see BI is working here, textual analytics is working there, sentiment, statistical, multivariate, knowledge graph, taxonomies, deep learning. As you're going and as you're progressing, you have to apply a different form of analytical techniques. Very important. But it's all part of the same flow. I'm hoping you see that it's all joined. Then we have a cultural issue. For example, if our organization is data disabled, that means that they don't trust the data. I can put as many BI reports as you want. You can put as many dashboards as you want, and they don't trust what's been said. Okay, you got a problem here. You can't start showing them this fancy analytics when they don't even believe the basics. If they feel that you don't even understand and you're answering what happened correctly, they're not going to buy it. And so you have to then take them onto the journey of what we call data-enabled, data-led, data-driven, knowledge-driven. Okay. Then we have another area over here, which is called OODA, and that's about observing what's going on in the market, orientating yourself, decide, act, and there's a loop. And if you are not spinning quickly enough, your competitor's going to eat your lunch. Who stole my cheese? You don't know. You're unaware of what's happening and you're missing the situation. Okay. All right. So these are some of the components, and I like to use these components to assess my BI framework, my BIA framework. Okay. All right. So let's have a look at the different frameworks we've got. There we go. We've got the DMBOK data warehousing and BI. We've got the DMBOK big data and data science. Can you see this one? This is all about choosing the data, ingesting, developing a hypothesis. Yeah, there we go. I'm sure you guys have seen all of this. There we've got Cynefin. I showed you the Cynefin diagram. Then we've got decision intelligence, and we'll be spending more time with that one. Then we've also got Bill Scamazzo. He's the man who built this data science methodology. Okay, lots of people follow him. He's a professor of one of the universities. He's done some fantastic work. And you can see these are the steps that he takes. Okay, and then we've got a BI release plan. So my big question now is, well, which one do I choose? Which one do I work with? And the answer is it really depends on your organization and where you are, where you find yourself, what you're comfortable with, and how do you make decisions. Okay, so I'm just going to show you my view on how I put it together. I use this data quality scoring mechanism, and I'm just going to take you through my view. Please, you will build a framework for yourself and your organization, and you may ignore what I'm saying. So as an example, I'm saying that data warehouse and BI fails because it's missing data science. Okay, and I'm saying that big data and data science fails because it's missing BI. And not only is it missing BI, it just focuses on exploratory analytics. It doesn't focus on confirmatory analytics or chaotic. And I've seen that. I was actually asked, one company that I was working for, they set up an innovation hub. They were going with AI and they said, oh, how this thing's not working. Please, can you come back? Can you help us understand this analytical framework? And that was part of this routine, and certainly my first area of learning to say, I need a more comprehensive way of understanding what do I apply, when, what's the right technique, and you need to give these people some guidance. Okay, Cynefin. Okay, yes, that's the problem with that is that certainly when it comes to the analytical technique, it doesn't even talk about it. So there's no guidance. Okay, so this is problematic. Okay, I want something that's giving me guidance. I don't want people to just make up what they're doing. data scientist, this is build schemas, this is the problem with that, and shucks, I didn't put the answer in there, was that was really focused just on the data science. So it's more comprehensive than big data and data science from DMBOK, because it focuses on all aspects, but it doesn't include BI. Okay. Then we've got decision intelligence. In this situation, for analytical techniques, it actually gives us all of the different, you have to choose the technique that you apply. So for this one, it passes. Okay, for business questions, it doesn't actually help me. It doesn't take me through the process of what happened, why did it happen, and things like that. So this is an area that is challenging. It does bring in KPIs, but it doesn't show me how to answer the business questions. Not only that, it doesn't deal with the OODA loop. So it doesn't care about the fact that other people are making decisions faster than you. It doesn't worry about it. It's just a case of you have to make a decision. There's no time based in it. You just make the decision. Now, one of the important things that HBR brought in, the Harvard Business Review, is that they rated their companies on how efficient and how effective their decision making was. So what was the speed at which they made decisions, and how well did they make the decisions? So that's something that decision intelligence is missing. And typically what we'll have to do is build that back into the framework that we choose. So we don't really have a framework. We have to build a combination together and enhance it. Okay. That's typically what I find. Now, I've put it together, and you can see I've got the 9 steps. What's the goal of each phase? And this is the way I've put the framework together. I've added some of the KPIs, the data value realization. And this is the framework that I've now put together once I understand what was wrong in the other area. Okay. So I just wanted to do now an example. I want to share with you an example that we as a company are battling with. We're battling to make this decision. And I'm sure you heard Debbie talking about it, and I'm very happy to get any comments, especially from the Modelware people, in terms of why is this situation happening. So can you see here, we've got 6,126 associates. Now, those are people that have just passed the fundamental exam. Then we go into 430. So that drop off is massive. It's almost like a cliff, where after the people have written their associate exam, they don't continue with any of the other stuff. Not so. In general, our feeling is that because we've allowed them to add the CDMP associate badge after the first exam, they don't worry about going to the practitioner level or the master level, and most of the people. There are some people that do, but most of them don't. Okay, so if we think of the ability to develop your career and things like that, basically what the people are saying to us is that after they've got the CDMP, they don't see any value in doing it. Now, I'm glad that Eka has started to contribute, and I'd love to see your feeling. Price, lack of materials, public materials available, unclear extension time. I'm not sure about the last one, unclear extension time, but price is really an issue for us. How would I say, third world or BRICS type of situation, where for each exam, you're paying $311. So you're talking about $933. And if you multiply that by our current exchange rate, you're looking at about, it's about 8,000, 9,000 Rand. Just quickly check that out. So yeah, if we're talking about $933, we're looking at, oh, jeepers. Was it that bad? 17,000. 17,700 Rand. That is a lot of money. Okay, cool. So we got a problem. And I remember talking to some people in the UK and in America, and they said, "Oh, it's just about the price of a cappuccino." And I nearly fell off my chair in terms of saying, sure, 17,000 is not the price of a cappuccino. It's big money. Okay, so Eka, in terms of 2 years before it expires, I think Veronica did have confirmation. I think it's if you just got your associate and you don't go, I think you've got 3 years.
Well, if you pass your DM fundamentals with like a practitioner or master class, you have 3 years in which to convert that into a full practitioner or master, or you lose that score. And then you sit with an associate. If you want to become a master, you'll have to rewrite the DM fundamentals to get the 80% or the 70%. We're still not altogether sure what happens to your associates at the end of 3 years. We think that Dama just wants $100 and then you're good to go. But then you stay with associates.
Howard, sorry, something's happened to your sound.
Can you not hear me?
Oh, there we go. There we go.
Sorry. Okay, Ronnie, yeah, right next to me. So, causal decision model. This was designed by a lady called Lauren Pratt, and there's another lady that's working with her from Google. And interestingly enough, they have both renamed their titles to Chief Decision Scientist, not Chief Data Scientist. These people now refer to themselves as decision scientists. Okay, interesting change. What are they doing? Can you see what they're doing here? They are focusing on what outcome do we need to achieve? What's the outcome and goal? And in this situation, I'm just putting a sample together so we can talk about it. We're looking at sustainable specialist exam training. So what we're trying to do here is we are battling to get people to attend the courses. And so we have to delay them and postpone them because we only got 2 people registered. And so we just can't get the people going. Whereas with the fundamentals, we're training once a month, and that's working very well. Hopefully in the next month or 2, we can get 2 courses or 3 courses, but the fundamentals, we just can't get rolling. Okay.
The specialists.
The specialist exam. Okay. So what I've done here is I've said there's this combination of internal levers and external levers. Internal levers are choices that you can make. So the idea that you do is you start with your outcomes, you understand what the problem is, then you'll start talking about choices. What choices do we have? Okay, so I'm hoping my Modelware people are here and they can say, right, we can do market campaigns. We can do paid advertising. We can do an improvement of the value proposition. So what more can we give the people other than just the specialist exam and the preparation and the questions, more and more questions? What more can we do? For example, can we give them career guidance? Can we give them a review on their career levels? What more can we do to improve the value? Can we invest in more social channels? Or another one, can we just have the specialist things running every month? Okay, and whether there's 1 person or 8 people, we just keep on training. Now, the problem with that is, can you see that this is going to impact our profitability? Because now you're paying for trainers and you've got maybe 1 person on the course. So I've got a challenge there. Yes, I can do it, but I'm going to have some negative effects. Okay, then relationship building. Okay, this is something that we've been working on as a case of saying, why are we battling? If we compare ourselves to some of the competitors, they seem to be doing so much better when it comes to relationship building. And of course, the last one is pricing. So what you want to do is sit together with the business, the SMEs, and say, what can we do? What levers can we pull to affect the outcome? Okay. Now, it's also important to look at external levers. Okay. So basically, what are the problems that external levers are, what are they introducing? So the first one we have, 17,800 Rand is a big amount of money. Okay. Recognition, are we getting the market value? So that's the point that Caroline raises, that recognition of the fact that is a practitioner or a master, full master, actually giving you the value that you are expecting. Okay, so there's a challenge in this situation. Okay, now Veronica is talking about market value of different levels. So what I would, yes, probably within an employee, they probably won't mind what level you're at. I do think they when it comes to associate, they probably raise their eyebrows. But as an example for us, as trainers, there's a requirement from DAMA-I that we are master level. So you need to be a master level before you can train. So people will look at you and say, well, do I trust this person to be able to train me? So that's why we have to introduce this level of you need to get a master's. This associate is not appropriate and you need to be at a master level. Okay. All right. So Carolyn asks, what is the driver for people to attend the courses? Marketability, understand sufficient to talk about it or to apply data management? And yes, so of course, most companies, when they set up their data management office or the data management programs, one of the things they battle with is this lack of understanding, lack of capabilities within the company itself. So they go out and look for training that they can make use of, that they can apply to their people, and they can get the right level of skills. Do they need to go all the way past the associate practitioner? Well, that depends. It depends on, are you being a data steward or are you a data professional? All of these things will affect the answer to that situation. So the driver tends to be lots of the times when you have a maturity assessment. Caroline, we will actually go and look at the resources. Are the people capable of being able to deliver master data, reference data, metadata? Now, if you find someone that is not even certified, who doesn't understand it, your what we call your technical feasibility on your people is reduced. Okay. Now you have a problem of being able to deliver those different functions. Okay. So now what we have to do as well is to be able to say, okay, what's the role of these different people and what's the responsibility? So there was someone who said, who is responsible? So here we can see data governance. Data governance is the facilitator. And I've even seen situations where people are building a data strategy around this. So they will look at what's the core set of outcomes that we're trying to achieve, and now let's build this decision model and we build a data strategy around this. Okay. And I'll show you in the next step how that translates. Paul, so that's very interesting. I'll show you the next step. But people are using this to build a data strategy and to define your data value realization. So can you see that it's actually not bad? Okay, it's not bad when we focus on the outcomes. And what are we trying to achieve, and what goals are we trying to achieve? This is quite a nice approach. It doesn't get us talking about data management. So I'm hoping you can see in this diagram there is no data management discussion. There's no we need reference data or master data, we need data quality. And Lauren Pratt actually brought up a very good question and answer here. She said, please stop talking about data, because most of the times business are making this decision without any data. And not only that, is they're making the decision without understanding the relationships and the impact of the different options and things like that. So the current state is 0 or negative. So now when we start trying to bring in fancy data and stuff like that, she's saying, please don't get down that route. Do not start introducing that at this point in time. Okay. And I'm hoping you can see here there's this marketing and sales and administration. These are all the people that are involved in the different areas here. And can you see here? So let's say we had a marketing campaign. Now, the first question we're going to be asking our marketing person, Monica Diesel, what is the marketing reach of this marketing campaign? Is it just LinkedIn? Is it just, are those the only people? What about Facebook? What about YouTube? What about all the other areas? And then what we'll do is once we've done the marketing campaign, we'll start measuring the data. Is what's our reach looking like? And then what's our conversion rate? So the most important thing at the end of the campaign is, what was the conversion rate? How many people did we get to actually come to us and say to Debbie, please, can you give me a quote? That's what marketing does. It gets people asking for quotes. Okay. Then we get the selling people. They'll convert from sales to payments. That's the sales conversion rate. And then the admin people must make sure that they're on a course. They've got all their material. They've done all their stuff. They registered as part of the course. So can you see, this is a path, an action path that we're actually following here. Over and above the fact that we're also measuring, we're following an action path. Okay. Now, if we wanted to work on our value proposition, the very first thing we have to do is to say, okay, we made a choice. We added a workbook to our product. What has happened to the rating? Does the rating affect the fact that more people want to come back on it and do more training? And so we go around in this scenario. The next one is exchange rate. If we have an exchange rate issue, does that impact our value proposition? Well, it certainly impacts Damer's value proposition, and therefore it impacts our value proposition. Okay. Now, if we work on our relationship building, does that mean we get more cross-selling, customer lifetime value? And I'm hoping you can see how this all fits together. Now, the next step is very important. Once you've got this model and you've agreed with the business, now this becomes the important thing. Is, okay, for every choice lever, okay, sorry, I spelled that incorrectly. What is the action or the measurement of the impact of that choice? Okay, where do I get the data from? Do I understand cause and effect? And what type of analytics must I do on that situation? Can you see how this, I'm hoping, and maybe I'll just want to pause here for a while. Is this making sense? Are you understanding the level of analysis you need to go through to make a proper decision or and have the right outcome? And the document actually looks like this. The final document looks like this, where you can say, right, I've got a data source here. It's LinkedIn. I've got a data source there. I can build BI there. Here, when it comes to value proposition and social, I need to do a customer behavior model. I need to understand how you're going to respond to price. Okay, I need to know what is it that's going to improve your understanding of my value. And here you can see I can introduce a machine learning model. So if I can understand what the impact of exchange rate is, there's a machine learning model. I can also use simulation. And these are so can you see all of these analytical techniques I'm bringing together to help me answer the question? Okay, so maybe I'll pause there and just ask, can you see the power of how this causal decision model is coming together and how nice it is in a way not to talk business? Once you've spoken business and you've got an understanding, sorry. Okay. Come on. Sorry. Okay. Here, no business, no data discussions. It's nice that the business can start telling you how the data flows, what the different lead is. So there we can see market to sales to admin. Those are the impacts that we're having. Here we can start saying, okay, now where do we get our data? Do we understand our uncertainties and what type of analytics do we do? Okay. And from there we go to a, what do they call an annotated CDD, where you understand your data that's going to be required, you understand the KPIs, and also can you see here, there's also a feedback loop. So as an example, profitability, if it's decreasing the profitability, then do I reduce the different social platforms that I'm working on? Okay, so I've got an impact. Okay, if, as an example, if I'm doing well in producing exams or sustainable, if my success rate is high, then I get more training. So we go around in a circle and you need to be able to understand those different areas. All right, let me pause there and ask for any comments. Is it helpful? Does it make sense? Can you see what the size of BI and analytics is all about?
Yeah, that is very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dumi. Dumi, are you in
still,
this field?
Yeah, I am in this field with a background of software development, but I really started, software development since 2007, specializing in C#, but I started the role in data since 2020. So
Fantastic.
3 years on it, yeah, and still learning a lot. And next year, I thought I was going to do it this year, but I will start to pick up on those DMPOC certifications.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Similar to Arun. Arun's got his,
Yes.
He also came from ERP and now he's come into the data field. And what I'm also hoping you can see, Dumi, is that there's a lot of technology things here. So we can be using technology to build the machine learning models. We can use technology to do simulation. So this is a more holistic one where you're actually bringing in data plus digital transformation. You're bringing it all together to help you solve the problem.
Yeah.
Okay. What is it, a predictive analysis or prescriptive analysis? This is what we are discussing here. And here, I think it's a prescriptive, right? How to achieve it?
It depends on it. It really, remember, it's going to depend on here. So can you see this is exploratory analytics? So let me give you an example. This is what we talk about, a choice of improving our value proposition. And to measure that, we talk about a value proposition rating. Now, we use Canvas as a learning management system, and we understand the effect and the cause, and we don't always understand why people are having the uplift that they need, and then in some cases not being able to pass the CDMP exam. So we'll use an exploratory analytics. So this is not confirmatory or predictive. So predictive is in that confirmatory things where you're confirming your understanding. Okay. So you've got to remember, you've got to go and map cause and effect, and then say, okay, when it's this and this and this, then this is the type of analytics that I need to apply. And it can change. Now, all I'm trying to say here is, in some cases, I haven't completed this. I've just started. I have to go and look at every single action, decision, and understand what data, what area I'm working in. Okay, so Eka has asked, are internal, external levers input metrics? No, the levers, let me just go forward. These internal levers are choices. External levers are things that you have no control over, but they affect you. Your metrics are related to actions, and it's actually a measurement. That's your KPI measurement in terms of saying, well, if I made that choice, okay, if I decided to increase the value proposition, what impact does it have on my value proposition rating? Eka, did I explain it properly? And of course, that one leads to that one. So as an example, marketing reach, if I have, and here's an example. Can you see here, there's my marketing scenario. Campaign. So for me to get 15 bums on seats every month, I need to start off with 300 leads, a marketing reach. I need to get 300. That's my marketing reach. Now, if I was able to get that into 400, okay, then my conversion rate is going to be higher, and then I'm going to be able to get more bums on seats. So there's a path, and these things are connected. So the better my marketing reach, the more my conversion rate. So if I apply this marketing to LinkedIn and Facebook, oh shucks, sorry. Okay, so if I was to apply it to LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, whatever it is, I believe that my conversion rate is going to be better. Okay, so that's a marketing decision that we make in that scenario. So that's a choice we have, and we can pull that lever and have the appropriate impact. Now, interestingly enough, when I was working at the central bank, one of the things they wanted to do was, can you see here, their outcome was economic stability. And one of the problems that South Africa has is that somebody says something wrong. Somebody the night before, or the day before, someone says something wrong, someone does something wrong. And the next minute, the next morning when we walk in, our exchange rate has gone through the roof. All of a sudden, it's not 19, it's 22, or it's 14. And what they said is they actually hired something like 20 econometricians that would read the newspapers and the economic magazines every morning. They all spent time in this library, and they were just reading papers, trying to understand what caused the effect. Okay. Now, having something like this where you actually monitor the influences and you get that feeling, then you can start feeding it back into a model and having some impact and reducing the amount of manual labor that you have. Okay. Is this methodology you are sharing adopted? Okay, yes. So what I've done, Eka, is I'm using the decision intelligence from Laura Pratt, and I'm applying the Cynefin uncertainty to her. She does talk about it, but she doesn't bring in this cause and effect, what's the type of analytics and scenario like that. So you can certainly read up on that. I do have, if you are interested, I've actually got what we call our Excel framework, our research framework. Just getting there now. This is my research framework. And here you can see every single one. There's a different framework towards data science. SPADE, there's actually a SPADE framework, which means define the setting, who the people are, what the alternatives, make a decision and explain your decision. Gradients of agreement, enthusiastic about this, lukewarm. Gartner has one, Link has one, decision modeling, and these are all the different analytical frameworks that I've reviewed, defined the phases, understood the rights and wrongs, and so I'm happy to share that with you. Okay. Haroon, maybe I can ask you, can you see the process that I followed? My value proposition, yeah. Can you see the process that you need to go through? You need to do research. Now, let me show you something. This is what I tried to show last week, and I'm not sure if I did a good job. But I'm using a feature on Edge. Can you see this features on Edge? And it's called the Workspace. Okay. So in my Workspace, I've got all of my different reference materials. So I can open it up anytime. Okay, there's decision scientists. That's what they said. What is this about decision scientists? Decision intelligence. This is Cassie. She's the Google data scientist. Okay, so there's lovely articles from her. Gartner, LinkedIn, all these different things. Bill Scamaza, there's the prof of, I can't remember. So here are all of the papers that I've gathered together, and at any time I can open up this collection. And not only that, is you can also share this with people. Okay, so I can invite Haroon to this Workspace, and here are all the stuff that I've done the learning. And not only that, is I've also started to use Bing, where I ask Bing, please explain how does cause and effect and decision intelligence work. And it's actually quite amazing as to how they bring these two together and explain to you what's going on. So you can see I've got a metadata one, reference master. So we can, as a team, we can work together in terms of all of the research that we're collecting and the reference papers that we have, because someone's going to ask you, have you looked at this? What did you think of that? And then you need to have an answer.
Okay. So you will share with us this?
Well.
Sorry, I can't hear you. What you said?
Yes, I will share it with you, Haroon.
Okay, fine. Okay, thank you.
Now, I'm quite interested in maybe just from a business point of view, we've got Yule on. Yule will be helping us with the storytelling. So maybe Yule, if I can give you just 5 minutes just to introduce yourself and just share your approach and how we're going to work together on the data side. Auto by surprise. Sorry.
Hi, Howard. I'm
Okay.
here. It's the mic.
Fantastic.
Using myself. Yes. So my name is Yule Oswald, and basically just a bit of history about me. I'm a storyteller. So I've worked with many companies in terms of communicating with brands, communicating their brands, and the messages that they'd like to communicate to the target market, and specific messages so that they don't get lost. And so the vision of what they're trying to do does not get lost. And also how to communicate in-house within themselves, to communicate concepts, to even spur people on into action, to do certain things. Like at the end of the year, they'll have their reports. So they'll take the data and they'll have the yearly reports. And what the yearly reports will speak about what they need to look forward to in the coming year and what they need to address and fix and all that. So it's how they communicate that to the workforce, and also to on a level, on a high level, to managers and everyone. So it's an intense process, but it's a rewarding process, because it speaks directly to the person, to an individual, even though you're addressing the whole group, but it addresses an individual in a way that they get the buy-in into your vision, and they want to run with what you are running with. So as a company, you say, this is what we want to do, and they're not just an employee that's saying, I'm getting paid, so I'm going to do it. But then if you use a story to communicate what it is that you need them to do, in the way you can use storytelling, they will buy into what your vision, and they will even come up with more ideas to push forward into the future. And yes, anything else, Howard, I can add there?
Yeah, I just want to share with you that I was involved at Standard Bank, and they have a section, capital, the capital markets, that was corporate. And interestingly enough, almost about 10 years ago, 20 years ago, they decided that they would hire some actors to, when they were finished building the year-end reports and the balance sheets and everything like that, they decided that a better way of communicating with the CEOs and with the stakeholders of a company was to act out the balance sheet. And I was blown away initially to say, wow, oh my goodness, how would you do something like that? But and I never really saw one, but I saw the effort that they were going to, and that's what they did. They tried to engage with their customers in a very dynamic storytelling way. And so that was quite some time back, before anyone had even mentioned storytelling. They realized that just putting this document on the table was not good enough, and it wasn't working.
And the reality of that is that when you tell a story, what happens automatically in the human brain is you release hormones, which makes you connect to what's being told. And so even whether you want to connect or not, it doesn't become your choice, but your brain automatically, when you go into storytelling mode, it just releases that hormone, and you're already attached to whatever story is being told. And with the data telling story, we get to specific stories, and specific stories that speak to the specific point that you're trying to bring across. And just there, how I remember when they asked me, I'm also an actress and a voiceover artist. I was asked by a big corporate company. They had their end year function. I wrote a speech for them, and I was asked to say it. And at the end of the speech, I mean, there were speeches, it was a 2-day seminar. There were speeches by CEOs, different people. Yeah. And I spoke closer to the end of the seminar, and the CEO came up to me and said, wow, that was the best speech of this entire seminar. And he said, I can't believe how good. He offered me a job on the spot in the marketing team. And there was a lot of digits that I had put within that speech, in that story, for everybody to engage. Even they were exhausted. They had the party the night before,
Yeah.
They were all staying at the hotel. They were exhausted, but they paid attention to every single thing I did and everything I said. And it wasn't about the acting. It was about what was said and how it was said, and how it touched them to respond in a certain way. So they got the message. The message was clear, it was understood, and there was nothing left to chance.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, so many times I've walked in and presented a dashboard of figures and stuff like that, and you can actually see the lights going off as you're speaking. And it's quite a depressing thing. So it will be nice that we all know exactly how to present the story.
Yes.
Fantastic. All right. Any other comments? I see it's getting quite late. Thanks everybody. Any feedback, any comments? Okay, excellent. I won't keep you anymore. Thanks for it. Haroon, I'll share the spreadsheets with you, and you'll be able to start working.
Okay, so fine. So we will have a session, or I will review it by myself, and then we'll have a later.
If you review it and you ask some questions, I'll send you the deck. I'll send you the Excel, and then we can have a session once you've had time to see how you would apply it. So almost try to do it and see where your understanding is not right.
Fine. Yeah, it's fine. I agree. It's okay.
Fantastic. And I know you were saying that you're actually involved with that architecture, that specification 3.1, which is doing an assessment and implementation framework. So it's a great place to get you going.
Yeah, sure. Okay, fine. Yeah. Thank you
Excellent.
so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Welcome.
you. Have a lovely rest of your day.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.